We shall move on to the war on Christmas. Brandon's background's getting me in the holiday spirit. And by holiday spirit, I mean excited to talk about the burning Fox News Christmas trees. So the Fox and Friends crew is treating the burning of the Christmas tree outside of the Fox News studios as a basically a disaster of proportions that they have not seen since, I don't want to name a national
9/11.
tragedy. Okay, there you go.
9/11, since 9/11.
Yeah.
That's what they're acting like.
That's what they are acting like. All indications are this was a fire set by somebody who might have had some mental problems, somebody who may have been houseless in New York City. They wish so badly that it was a left-wing activist of some sort, but they'll settle for this because, like, if you're just, you know, what the New York Post is calling a vagrant in New York City, you're probably a commie anyway. And so this is how the Fox and Friends crew is reacting to this incredible tragedy. I spit out my drink when I first watched this clip at the beginning when Steve Doocy says, "It's beginning to look a lot like arson."
Did not know he says that.
Normally during the Christmas season, we start the program by showing an outside shot of our all-American Christmas tree on Fox Square. But last night, shortly after midnight, somebody climbed up in the tree and lit it on fire. It's beginning to look a lot like arson. Right now, there is somebody who is in custody and is being...
Could you imagine, like, you know, the shot he's talking about? I mean, they're sort of showing it right now. You know, the overhead shot of the outside. Could you imagine if the segment actually just opened up without any explanation and just was the shot of the tree burning? That would have been, I would have enjoyed it. It would have been great.
Christmas is over, people. This is what's going on, right? They should have left it burning for like the entirety of the night, just so people understand.
All right, keep going.
Climbed up in the tree and lit it on fire. It's beginning to look a lot like arson. Right now, there is somebody who is in custody and is being interviewed by local police.
Who sets a Christmas tree on fire?
Who sets a Christmas tree?
Well, I mean, it's just part of the rampant. No city is safe. No person is safe from the subway on down. Here you are at 48th and 6th, right in Midtown Manhattan. It has become a tourist attraction. Every year it gets more and more people, and just one psycho goes up, ignites this thing. Thank goodness we have very excellent security. Within 2 seconds, he was tackled to the ground. He was subdued.
He says no person is safe. Actually, every person is safe because no one was harmed.
No Christmas tree is safe, except probably most Christmas trees.
If we anthropomorphize the Christmas tree, the all-American sentient Christmas tree, okay, then maybe no person is safe.
Also, to answer his question, what kind of person lights a Christmas tree on fire? Uncle Lewis, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, set the Christmas tree on fire. And he was a likable fellow.
That's an excellent point, Matt. Well, let's hear if they at least cite him in journalistic integrity as a correction of for their hypothetical here.
More people, and just one psycho goes up, ignites this thing. Thank goodness we have very excellent security. Within 2 seconds, he was tackled to the ground. He was subdued, and then they find out that he's under arrest right now. Massive investigations through the night. It took place just after midnight last night. Shannon Bream's show was covering it from Washington, D.C.
So sad. We have security tape around the tree right now when you walk in. No more music, no more tree.
Yeah, I think it's
infuriating.
I think it tells the bigger story. I mean, since this city is so out of control, especially in Midtown Manhattan. Yesterday we're covering,
we used to love.
Right, but yesterday we're covering stories about raids in Pacific Palisades and Beverly Hills, California, and then in 48th and 6th, this is a tourist attraction from around the globe, and they sit there and this one lunatic is able to penetrate in, and in a matter of seconds, ignite that tree on fire. Thank goodness there's not other structures around it, but our whole lobby was full of smoke, evidently.
What? Massive investigations. Yeah, let's just play the next clip because this is that was from 2 days ago. This is from today. They are giving us an update on this massive investigation into the burning alive of the sentient all-American tree.
It wasn't even a real tree though. It was like a metal pole. It was like a Festivus thing with some like, what I'm looking for.
It was a
tinsel.
what thing? It was a what thing?
It was a Festivus thing. It was like a pole
How
with like
dare
tinsel
you.
on it.
How dare you?
I dare because I had to say it. I think this was an inside job. It just seems a little convenient to me that they were just talking about how unsafe all this stuff was, and then suddenly there are trees on fire.
Yeah, exactly. How perfectly it demonstrates the larger point, as Kilmeade says. It is a little bit suspicious.
The one thing that makes me think it wasn't an inside job was because, like, if they would have probably had someone dress up like an Antifa protester.
That's true, yeah.
That made the fact that they are unable to sufficiently boogeyman him to like the quotient is not there
Right.
it doesn't exceed the maximum, I guess.
If they found like a homeless person to pay to like go do this, they would have said like, hey, can you like take this I don't know what, probably not Jacobin, they probably do like a Peacock's gift card or something like that.
You can never rule out incompetence on the part of like the people who orchestrated this, but
That's a good point. But let's see. I mean, maybe they'll give us some Easter eggs in their follow-up.
Yeah, play the update. I'm dying to hear the update to this late breaking, big, important news.
But I have decided I'm a truther about it.
Well, they seem so.
He wasn't eligible for the bail under these new liberal reform laws.
That's right.
But the judge could have found a way to keep him locked up if he felt as though he was a threat to society. Note to judge, he's a threat to society.
Well, here's the thing. In New York, under the new liberal policies of bail reform, arson is only a felony. You can only be held if it's a felony. If the suspect tries to harm a person or commits a hate crime. And apparently lighting a Christmas tree on fire is not a hate crime.
But it is.
Even though a lot of people could have been injured?
Yeah, but here's the thing.
Who says it's not a hate crime against us, against Fox News?
Here's the thing. What we do know for sure, and we don't know the guy's motivation.
But the judge could ask and be under suspicion and keep him locked up.
Well, he might have. But here's what we do know. According to the New York Post, which is co-owned with us, that Christmas tree was $500,000.
I know.
So this guy torches $500,000 worth of property, and he gets to walk.
I mean,
First of all, someone got ripped off. That is not a $500,000 tree. I'm sorry.
Like, I'm trying to do the math in my head. Like, damn, how is that possible?
That's
You
like
get
100.
you get a really, really big tree for like probably like $1,000, like a really, really big tree.
They paid like literally $25,000 per foot of that fake tree, which seems like way too much. Like, was that decoration? They're definitely lying. But I mean, whether they're lying about the entire thing or just the price of the tree is up for debate. What I think is interesting is that all of this like talk about the war on Christmas and all of these like fake made up things that are being based on like one person getting their name misspelled wrong on a Starbucks cup around this holiday season, or like one Christmas tree that they burned down themselves, like being cited as an example. I think Bill O'Reilly might have been saying it's happening all over the country. That all happens in the backdrop of like there being a mass pandemic going on where people are dying in the thousands or hundreds of thousands. And none of those things are, all of those deaths are being sort of like isolated and siloed. Like, oh, this is not an example of a failing society that's like collapsing and doesn't care about its people. But a single Christmas tree that was lit on fire outside of our building is actually a sign that this country is like failing and it's going to like, go into the dark ages.
The city that we used to love.
They hate this city. I mean, honestly, like that's why they compared this to 9/11 too, because like there is this perverse part of the conservative mind that, I guess the entire mind is perverse, that like likes this kind of victimhood, which is why it also makes it seem like they did it themselves, because like it just makes them excited to be able to like, see, we were actually targeted this time with evidence by someone. And as opposed to all the time we're just saying we're targeted when it's just like a black person crossing the street from us or whatever. Like, so like they like when they're able to actively use some kind of thing that transgressed against them, or if they can claim was transgressed against America or Christians, to like ignite and like justify like what is usually just their victim complex.
Well, it's a hate crime. Now they get to say that they're a victim of a hate crime. It's like the Office clip where Michael claims to be the victim of a hate crime, and he's like, "Well, I hated it. That's what defines it." I mean, that's basically what it is. And just really like Kilmeade makes me laugh in his like earnest stupidity, but they're not as well equipped to do this as this kind of makes me wish Bill O'Reilly could just come back for a guest segment. If this happened during his time, the war on Christmas, like where he was really, really harping on this and the tree was lit on fire, I mean, we would get some fire segments from that guy, no doubt about it.
I love their reaction to finding out that for it to be considered a felony, he needed to have put someone in harm. Like they're so outraged. Like, oh, you mean he had to have hurt somebody? Why? That's unbelievable. Like, no, it makes a lot of sense that lighting a tree on fire would not be considered a felony. Honestly, I mean,
hate crime. Like, what are you talking about? A hate crime against us, Fox News, like not a protected class, and also, yeah, like it was.
They also tried to harp on the idea that it was a Christmas tree. I mean, maybe if like the person who lit it on fire had some sort of discovered and investigated and found he had some like anti-Christian beliefs and that's why he did this. Or even if it was like a Christmas tree belonging to a church, you could probably argue that. But not because it's a Christmas tree sitting in front of like Fox. The Christmas trees are everywhere.
I don't even think it was a real tree. To be honest, it was like a Christmas pole. Like, yeah, I think you at least have to be a living creature at some point. I would have expected them to like try to make the Christian, like the anti-Christian thing stick, but they really just moved right on to like the personal victimhood of working at Fox News. Like you would have thought that like they would have gone down that like line of, and this is just another sign that Christianity is under attack in America. That seems like more like the classic Bill O'Reilly,
yeah,
that's exactly right. Like this is like how sort of devoid of meaning their souls are. Is it should be about the Christmas thing, right? But then they end up but it was $500,000.
Yes, exactly.
How do we not punish him for the crime against $500,000?
They let it slip what the true meaning of Christmas is, which is like incredible amounts of spending.
And fetishizing property.
Yeah, right. I mean, but like at the same time, it's a little odd, right? You were saying, Brandon, that it was a Christmas pole. Do we know what the composition of that pole was? Was it steel? Because I'm not sure if simple flame can melt steel beams.
Actually, that's pretty. That guy could have just been a Puritan, because the Puritans used to set maypoles on fire and that sort of stuff. Not that this is a maypole, but it is idolatry. Per the Puritans, all this sort of stuff. So the Christmas.
Well, there's no Christmas trees in the Bible. I mean, yeah, like this is like a pagan symbol from like the worship of like nature, of like nature religions, and like it's been synchronized with Christianity. So like, I mean, that's not the reason they didn't go into it, I don't think. But like, yeah. A lot of these traditions that people swear are very meaningful about Christmas and Christ are like just, repackaged Greek festivals.
Maybe the guy.
I had to look this up because, if we're going to talk about how much this Christmas tree is worth, we need to compare it to something that everyone knows. So I looked up the cost of the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree. The arguably the most famous of the Christmas trees, right? Can you think of one more famous?
Very, very much more most famous Christmas tree.
Now, apparently, including all the costs in terms of getting it there, transporting it, and everything, the total price for the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree is $73,500. So they're saying that their tree, their shitty little tree, is worth what? How many more times is that? 5 times the cost?
That's the investigation we need to do.
Yeah, there needs to be some insurance investigation about that, how much that tree cost and how it burned down.
That's the false flag. That's the inside job, I should say, right? Like, who is gonna get the money from the insured Christmas tree, and who's overvaluing the cost of said Christmas tree for the maximum insurance payout?
It's honestly, there's layers to this conspiracy. They tried to disguise what is essentially just a normal grift with some kind of larger war on Christmas. It's very American.